Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem. So let's go through this new clip that's been released by Rob, and let's dissect it together.
Islam is a religion for savages and animals who falsely claim to be humans, and I will prove it in this very short video. And by the way, I'm not trying to insult the actual animals in the process.
So as you guys heard, he's using the demonizing language and he's also belittling the Muslims. And by doing this, this is like the first step that people take, that some racist and bigoted people take. And when you take the step of demonizing and belittling Muslims, then by doing this, the next step is going to be there'll be some weirdos out there that they take this into their own hands and they'll do violent actions. And unfortunately, this is the content that will most likely drive them to do this, and the similar content. So he is describing those who follow this religion as animals. And then he's saying only animals can be following this. Obviously, we know there's many millions of people, billions of Muslims following this. So is he saying all of them are animals? So that's the major problem here. And the next thing he says that they falsely claim to be humans. So therefore, it's very clear what he's saying here. He's saying those who follow Islam, they're falsely claiming to be humans. So let's move on to the next part.
In the following book called Sahih Sunan Ibn Majah by Shaykh al-Albani, volume 2, page 352, we find chapter 22 called A Father is Not to be Killed if He Kills His Son. Under this chapter, we find two different authentic ahadith. Hadith number 2173 and hadith number 2174. So as you see, both of them are sahih. These two hadith are similar in text, but the first hadith, number 2173, is narrated from Ibn Abbas. The second hadith, number 2174, is narrated from Umar ibn al-Khattab, saying that Rasulullah, i.e. Muhammad, the Prophet of Islam, said, "The father is not to be killed if he kills his son." I have a question. I want to know what kind of prophet says such a thing. So if you decide to kill your own son, Muslims are not allowed to kill you as father. In other words, if a father one day decides to take the life of his son, he won't be killed under Sharia law. A father in Islam owns his son and can choose to kill his son whenever he likes to do so. What?
As you guys heard here, he's saying that the father owns the son and he can choose to kill him whenever he likes, or whenever he likes to do so. This is completely false. This is a major error he just made here. So from this narration, his conclusion is the father can kill whenever he likes, and that's it. But I'm going to show you where the father has actually consequences for killing his child, and it's actually haram for him to kill his child. It's prohibited. So this is a major blunder that Rob makes, and this is how he deceives people. He gives them half the truth. For example, he showed you these narrations which are true, but then he hides the explanation, or he hides the content, or the background, or to other evidences, and this is what he has done here. So if you observe this narration that we can see on the screen, this is Umar radiallahu anhu, which is a second Khalif which we've been instructed to follow. And here we've been informed that he took 100 camels from the person who killed his son. So what Rob is saying is, look, there's no consequences, and he's implying there's no consequences whatsoever for the father, and he can kill his son if he wants to because he owns him, as you guys heard. Then what's this narration saying? This narration says that he has to give 100 camels from him. So Umar anhu took 100 camels from him. And secondly, let me show you the second narration. And this is Hassan, by the way. It's a good narration. Let me show you another narration. So what we understand so far is there's blood money that the father has to pay. And then there's also, he cannot inherit from the son. So does that sound like consequences or not? Of course that's consequences. So the father can't just kill the child as he wills. And I'll show you scholarly explanations for this as well. And also the father will be accountable in the next life if he has repented, etc. So let me show you the scholarly views. So if you notice this fatwa, this one's answered by Mufti Muhammad Tosir Mia. Someone asked him the question, what's the punishment for a father who manhandled his son in such a manner that son dies? Then he quotes the verses of Quran where he talks about killing a believer will basically end you into hellfire. Then he quotes another thing, which is the first thing that will be decided among people on Day of Judgment will pertain to bloodshed. Then another narration that that killing a believer, Allah will cast them all down into hellfire. And then he continues. He talks about the importance of life, and here this is exactly the same narration which I already pointed out, which is that there's consequences. Furthermore, he will be obligated to pay the diya, blood money, for killing his son. So this is what the scholars are saying, and they have said the exact same thing. Let me show you another fatwa. So in this fatwa, someone asked the question, is it true that parents cannot be executed for killing their children? So the scholar replies, this is not accurate. The had punishments cannot be applied to crimes within the immediate family, but discretionary punishments, even potentially capital punishments, according to some jurists, can and do apply. Then they go into some details, like what is the had punishment for? It's for deterrent primarily, and we're supposed to try to avoid kind of implementing the had punishment as best as possible, even if there's any doubt or anything like that. But that we're supposed to kind of avoid the had punishment as best as possible, and that goes into some details of that. Then it quotes the narration of the Prophet ﷺ that use all excuses to ward off the prescribed punishments. And yeah, so some details about that. And then it says, why not apply the prescribed punishments with the immediate family? So this is what we can say as a possible wisdom behind why the father isn't executed. It says, thus is established in prophetic teachings that immediate family ain't given capital punishment for killings, as this has many subsequent harms. Consider, for example, the impact on other children, parents, etc., and can make things worse for those already affected. So the family's already been affected. It's going to make things worse for them. The misapplication of abuse of justice in some Muslim lands should not be used to doubt or be confused about the beauty, mercy, and justice of Islam. So hopefully that's clear. This is one of the wisdoms why such a thing isn't applied. However, even without the wisdom, we know this law has come from God, and so therefore Allah is the wise, and we take the we obviously trust in Allah's wisdom, because we have already established Islam is true, and so therefore the laws, if our mind can't comprehend the wisdoms, we still accept it. However, as I've already showed you a wisdom of it, which is fully understandable, but nonetheless the father is going to be punished. So now in conclusion, we have seen how Rob lies. So why would his followers still take information from him even after him lying, very clearly lying to people? I would advise that people who watch Rob and other such people like that, don't take knowledge from them. Go to the sources yourself. Go to, not just take the references, go to the commentaries, try to understand what's the understanding behind it. Because here you can see very clearly he misrepresented Islam, he misrepresented Muslim scholars, and he completely made up a new version of Islam in front of everyone's eyes. So this narration says the murderer will not inherit. So even the father cannot inherit from the son's wealth or anything like that. So
Hey you! Yes you!
Don't be deceived by foolish people.
يا ربي يا ربي إني أسألك العفو عني